That's one way of killing it. I'm not saying it's the only way, but you gotta laugh at your ego. When your ego got you out there trying to defend shit that don't need to be defended, somebody call you ugly and you trying to defend the shit, somebody tell you ain't a good parent or whatever it is, and you try to defend the shit, laugh at your ego, because it's not worth it. I mean, that person's already made up in their mind who you are, as long as you don't.
Roll me Mac.
How well are you at being aware at your emotions? Being a man, I would say it's pretty good for the most part. The one part where I struggle, being honest with myself and my peers, is acknowledging anger. Right? For years of feeling like you didn't matter, I am not able to tap into like anger I probably like in a healthy form. It's very much like the Hulk. Like, I'll do my best to not respond to anything. I'll avoid it, which is also toxic, and it's right. But after a while, if you poke me enough, I will, I will lose my shit, and that's it's a gift and a curse, I would say. But for the most part, I like to keep it. I would say I keep that very much contained. What really gets to me is probably encounters with certain family members. If anything, is probably like the trigger for me, is what I'm recognizing, or people from like the past I've engaged with that were abusive. Not to say that I wasn't abusive to them too, but if they were abusive to me, like mentally, emotionally, what have you, or something like that, those are the challenges. You know what I'm saying? That's the parts where you need to work at a little bit more. So, I mean, that's just being honest. But for the most part, I would say I do. I believe that I use a lot of stoicism and a lot of things I learned through stoicism to really be on top of like having emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something that is not appreciated enough, especially in men. You know what I mean? And because whenever we operate like screaming and hollering and shit like that, the only way it calms down is if a woman steps into her masculine to help us manage our emotions. I dare you to find a situation where that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Now she very well can join you at being a 5-year-old, throwing a tantrum and shit like that, but it goes nowhere. There's just a lot of hollering, it's a lot of yelling, and it doesn't do anybody good. It doesn't do anybody good in the situation, and that's something that we all must pay attention to especially like in our relationships. Like a lot of people that are in certain relationships, and arguing is a daily is a daily exercise. And you know what I'm saying? Like confrontation, I believe, can be healthy. You know what I mean? But unnecessary arguments, unnecessary quarrels don't do nothing but drain your energy. And I do my best to mind the fucks I give daily. If you can solve it, why do we need to argue about it? Like for yourself. Like if it's something that, most arguments, I believe, are when someone projects their emotions onto them. They want to make you responsible for their happiness. They're not saying it, you know what I'm saying? But because of their behaviors and all that stuff and how they believe a relationship is supposed to go, they tend to project their insecurities onto you. And then the other person is like, I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? With my life, when I decided to be in a relationship with your ass, I did not want to be responsible for you. You know what I'm saying? It's draining trying to be responsible for my own damn emotions and managing this. Now I gotta take on yours. I have to be your dad. I have to be your mom. Like that shit is draining, bro. It's draining as fuck. But when you are able to whether you learn mental health, whether you learn psychology, whether you just go to therapy and whatnot, it teaches you to be responsible for your own emotions, right? And manage them. So I would say that I have a pretty decent handle on my emotions. Now, as far as the ones that I don't tap into that very well, like anger, like dealing with anger and confrontation is a challenge for me, because the only way that I know how to deal with confrontation is through tantrums. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a challenge for me to be in situations where I'm attempting to resolve something without losing my shit. And the best fighter avoids a fight. You know what I'm saying? So I like to be pretty sharp mentally in situations where I don't have to necessarily waste unnecessary energy on unnecessary fights. But people will try. They will try you. They will definitely try you in many ways. And sometimes you gotta let loose. You gotta let loose, man, on that said person. I would say for the most part, I think I got a handle on my emotions. I tend to, I'm able to recognize them. Like I have really good, I would say, emotional intelligence, so I'm able to peep my own emotions. I'm definitely able to peep others, you know, because it's easier to look out the window than it is to look in the mirror. But I'm able to recognize them on call. I'm like, oh man, that's me acting in my ego again. Let me chill the fuck out. Let me laugh. I gotta laugh at my ego. That's how you kill it. That's one way of killing it. I'm not saying it's the only way, but you gotta laugh at your ego. When your ego got you out there trying to defend shit that don't need to be defended, somebody call you ugly and you trying to defend the shit, somebody tell you ain't a good parent or whatever it is, and you try to defend the shit, laugh at your ego, because it's not worth it. I mean, that person's already made up in their mind who you are, as long as you don't. I believe that's all that matters. But our ego is like, nah, I gotta defend this. Gotta stand up for myself. You know what I'm saying? But some things don't require a response. Some people don't require your energy. Your energy is very valuable. You better be very wise at who you give that shit to. The power that you give to people. Every day we give our power to people. When someone says something that they know is gonna get on our fucking nerves, we give them power when we respond the way that they intended for us to respond to. But if you learn the power of ignoring and the power of focus, you can save yourself the trouble. And that's what I believe I'm working on these days, is monitoring the fucks I give and being very mindful of what I give my energy to. Because if you know that someone is going to be argumentative because they're unhappy with themselves and they have to project that pain somewhere, and you go to the fucking circus, don't be mad when the tiger act like a tiger, when the monkey act like the monkey, when the elephant act like the elephant, okay? You went to the circus. Don't go to the circus with these clowns, okay? Don't go to the circ. Don't go to the circ with the clown, okay? Don't do it. Just don't do it, all right? So, I would say that I handle my emotions fairly well. I do my best. I do my best to be in positive moods. I don't ignore my negative emotions that much, but I don't act like, you know, there's not things that happen in life that are like fucked up. But I do my best to look at things from that of the ally versus the parasite, as Don Miguel Ruiz talks about in The Mastery of Self. So, like, you know what I'm saying? When you look at things from the parasite, everything is wrong. And you find something wrong with everything. When you look at things from the ally, you find the positive in something. You know what I mean? And I do my best to kind of find the positive in things. You can acknowledge, like, you know, when something drastic happens, like death, or, you know what I'm saying, getting a certain news that you might not be prepared for, but it's like learning to the power of acceptance. The power of indifference is helpful. Like, good news is just as the same as bad news. It's all about the perspective, right? And it's just, that's where I look at it. I look at it that way, as I do my best to be like indifferent about things. I don't, like, somebody gives me news, I'll show that I support them and that I'm happy for them, elated for them, but, you know, it's not the over the top stuff. And then when they give certain news that is not necessarily pleasant, I am very much indifferent about that as well. I do my best to remain neutral so that it doesn't, because they're going to respond based off the text. So you ever read somebody's text, they send some shit that's like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. And then you reply with the same energy. But if you remain neutral, it's like the way that I believe therapists, a healthy and effective therapist does, then it allows that person to accept those emotions and let them pass. You know what I'm saying? At least that's just my way of looking at it. And every day is a lesson learned. Every day is a time to continue to learn how this thing works. But I would say that I do fairly well with managing my emotions as a man, and hopefully I continue to learn how to do it even more.
Hey, what up, everybody? Yeah, do me a favor real quick. Just hit like, subscribe, and of course comment if you have anything, obviously to mention about the show.
It's been the hardest goodbye for you. The hardest goodbye is a tie between the first time, the day I left for the Air Force, and the first time that I left Miami to I took a job in North Carolina. So I'm gonna start with me leaving for the Air Force. This is the first time I've ever been this far away from my family. When you talk about abandonment issues and attachment issues, I am the poster boy for that. I'm not making myself a victim. Again, I'm gonna be clear, I'm not a victim. But that's just how I felt in the moment, because I was leaving everything that I knew. I was going to a foreign, faraway land, like a fucking fairy tale storyline or whatever. But I left. I left, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was gonna make it. I wasn't sure if I was man enough to be a man. Like, there's so many insecurities that I took with me when I left for the military. And I kept being unsure. I would be doing the job. I wasn't sure if I was doing the job right. When I learned about me being a father, I was so fucking insecure of whether or not I was if I was doing everything that I could, that I knew, in order to give my kid what I believe she needed at the time. And you're young. You don't know. And it turned me into a perfectionist. I wanted to do everything right. I had to do everything right, or I felt like things were going to be removed. You know what I'm saying? There was no room for mistakes for me. I felt that there was no room for mistakes for me. I truly believe that I could not make any mistakes. And what do? I make mistakes. Yeah, I made more mistakes trying to not make mistakes. And so I would say I just made mistakes. So I guess you can call it big, you can call it small. But a lot of things I did was out of fear. I was afraid to fuck up, so I fucked up. Or I didn't try. I didn't believe that I was good enough for this girl, so I behaved in a way that would push her away. Or I allowed her to walk all over me, and I allowed people to walk all over me because I wasn't good enough. I truly believe that. I believe that I had to prove myself to everyone. You know what I'm saying? And I was just down. And it was a generational curse, if I'm being honest. And somebody's got to break the cycle. So it's like learning your value, learning how valuable of a person you are. And it takes time to get there. Not everybody can get there, but once you get there, you got to keep working at it. And that's where goals come in. Little goals, things that you didn't realize you could do. Just keep going at it, keep working at it, and in hopes that it's going to work itself out. And I can honestly say I think I've done a pretty decent job at trying to build that confidence up again, because I was at a down part in my life, and a lot of people capitalized off of it. You know what I'm saying? Me being down on myself, it took advantage of me. I took advantage of people too. So, I mean, I'm human. I'm just as human as they are. But it's just, it caused a lot of trauma for myself, that where this stuff came from. Like, people were waiting for you to fall, and how close they were to you when these things, when it happens, when you see the individuals that were waiting for you to fall. It's hard. It's a hard thing to accept, but that's just the way that it goes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like learning from said situation and moving forward. But that person, those people were only projecting their insecurities onto me just as much as I projected my insecurities onto others as well. And that's what makes us human. And, that's why it's wise for us to recognize that we're not better than the other person. You know what I'm saying? Just because they attempted to inflict pain on us, and we chose to stay in that predicament. You know what I mean? But lessons learned. So when I first left for the Air Force, it was just tough adjusting. I had to create a new persona of me, a survival persona for me. And wherever I went, I became a chameleon, as I've shared a few times on the show. But that's essentially what happened to me. I became a chameleon, and I stopped being the person that I was when I left for the military. And I mean, I believe that you do evolve anyway. I don't believe you're going to be the same person that you were when you were 16. I don't believe you're going to be the same person you were at your 25 and 30 and so on. And fortunately, I was able to find myself. I had to catch myself in dumb shit to allow myself to find myself, and therapy helped out a lot. Therapy really helped me out a lot. Seeing things from different perspectives, not just from my own, and that the world revolved around me, because that's what I'm saying. Like the ego, a very big fragile ego is what I would say I possess. A big ass fragile ego. But now, working at managing that ego to the best of my ability. So now, getting better. But to go into my second point of the first time I left Miami, the hardest goodbye, from why that was so hard to leave Miami, because I had everything that I loved. Everything that I loved was outside of my kid being there. The life that I had grown to love, being in Miami, having 3 seasons there, and weather, hot hell and damn. It is hot most of the time there. Shorts are year round for the most part, but like the women, this is my 20s, like the women there, forget about it, man. I would love to compare it. I would love to compare it to another city. That's just what we do. And even for me and 2 girls, though, it ain't just about the fellas looking at the girls and stuff, but like us, like the men there, you know what I'm saying? They're about their business, you know what I'm saying? Attire wise, we stay, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a keeping up with the Jones type city. So fashion wise, upkeep, you know what I'm saying? You can get caught up in that shit, and I was caught up in it for a while. And so, but I mean, it taught fashion, but I was caught up in that lifestyle I was living. I was being something I wasn't. You're just trying to keep up, you know what I mean? And folks outside could see it, like especially like your family. Don't nobody know like you like your family do, and they could see the changes. They could see like, yeah, that's not really Rome being him. He's trying to fit in type shit, and I had to learn that. But I kept the fashion though. I kept the fashion. I had to learn to chill the fuck out and calm, and get back to recognizing who I was, and stop trying to act like you know Spanish so damn well, or act like you can dance, you know what I'm saying, like to Latin dances that well. I can't do bachata though. Don't fuck with me. I can't get down on bachata. You best believe that. But I definitely got to learn on that. But like a lot of those things, like I loved the area. I loved driving on the turnpike, getting stuck in traffic for hours on end between 4 and 7. Like you're deadlocked from exit 20, from exit 34 to exit 13, you deadlocked in traffic. It's just the way it is, but that was life. You know what I'm saying? Or 95, you know what I'm saying? Getting stuck in traffic on 95, going to Dave and Buster's or going to Dolphin Mall to watch movies. Me and my boy David and his brother, you know what I'm saying? My best friend, Bird. Like we would go up to Dolphin Mall. We would go to Southland Mall. We would go to many things. You know what I mean? Like we go to so many places trying to just chill and lounge. You know what I'm saying? Blue Martini. I was caught up in a lifestyle. I really was. I enjoyed it. My 20s were great. It's bittersweet about things because you got trust issues and all that stuff. But I mean, you're doing it. You're in the city. You're doing things with, hanging out with my best friend. We obviously met each other in the Air Force, and then now we're in the same place outside of the Air Force, and we're just learning life and working as, we're working at working at the base and doing something that we did inside the Air Force, and we're able to grow beards. You know what I'm saying? We met some pretty decent people, man. Like there were a lot of people at work that we met. There's like a very big work family, if you will. Like for the most part, the people in the agencies that we work with were very good. You know, became very close. Come up, talk. We could talk politics, even though you're not supposed to talk politics. Talk sports. You know what I'm saying? Like various things to build that rapport for team camaraderie, and I think that we did a very, very good job about that. Don't get me wrong, we had a couple personalities that were challenging, but even them, they're still your family. You know what I'm saying? It's still in the work family, but it was tough. It was tough because everything was there. Like as far as, and I was attached to the city more than I thought. You know what I'm saying? I found that out when I left. And I went to a place that had half of what I believe we had there in the city, and it led to a very strong depression moment. Also led to the beginning of my porn addiction, and because I was trying to feel safe, and I did not feel safe. You know what I'm saying? I felt alone. I felt very alone. But like the city, it was you'd have to be there to know. You know what I'm saying? It ain't for everybody. Some people don't like how busy the city can be, or the violence that gets portrayed on TV, because you gotta tell a story. But it's not everywhere. It's out there, but it's not everywhere. And I believe that's for any city, any big city. Our city has a lot. It has it all. You know what I'm saying? As far as like whatever trouble you want to get into, we got it. You know what I mean? If it's the beach, and it's funny because I never really went to the beach that much. And then when my cousin came down from Virginia, we went there, and I kind of got a feel of going down to South Beach, because I was like, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people, shy. You know what I'm saying? Coming from like Virginia, Suffolk, the Peanut City, and we got people, but not like that. You know, there's a lot of people, man, that walk down there on South Beach, especially tourists and stuff like that. And you just never know what was going to happen. So that would always be my fear. I was always looking for the worst thing to happen. But there were a lot of great times, man. There were a lot of great times being down there in Miami. I missed it. I missed the moments, rather. I mean, I'm not missing anything now, but like in those moments when I first left, I was really, really missing being there. I just felt like I had a bad case of FOMO, fear of missing out. And turns out later on, I wasn't really missing anything. But I mean, those 2 times in my life where it was the hardest goodbyes, between the Air Force, leaving for the Air Force, and then leaving Miami to move to North Carolina. Like I said, they're pretty much tied, but I would say that they definitely had a tremendous impact on my life getting to where it is today. what 5 songs make up the soundtrack of my life? Number 1, Down My Heart by The Boys. That, to me, I hear that and I think of Cuba. Number 2, Can You Stand the Rain by New Edition, which also makes me think of Cuba. Number 3 is gonna have to be Get At Me Dog by DMX. The first time I heard that, I was hooked. I was hooked on DMX and the energy that he brought. I would say Chic, when you hear the song Will You Cry, that to me is the soundtrack of my life. I've heard my father play that record downstairs on the good stereo while drinking. So it's like so many times, but just the strings on that record. Be sure to check that out. Like, while you even on your phone right now, while you watching this show, look up on Apple Music, Spotify, whatever shit you got, and listen to Chic When You Cry. When you hear this song, Will You Cry? And last but not least, the song that would make the soundtrack of my life is probably I'm Lost Without You by BB and CC. And the reason for that is because of my mommy. My mommy played that because it's a gospel record, I'm gonna say heck. She played the heck out of BB and CC's greatest hits, BB and CC's Different Lifestyles, Kirk Franklin's Christmas album for sure. Like during the Christmas season, me and my brother know that thing back and forth. But yeah, BB and CC's I'm Lost Without You is like, when I hear that, I can see my childhood right there. And honorable mention, the whole album itself, Preacher's Wife soundtrack. Same thing, my mommy, riding in the 5th Avenue, riding in the Sunfire, riding in the Fokisha is what I coined her. But that's what, like, we would hear gospel commonly, and then I would hear funk and R&B and jazz in the house with my pops. So those 5 songs right there. So Down My Heart by The Boys, New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain, Get At Me Dog by DMX, BB and CC's I'm Lost Without You, and whatever the other song I forgot that I said. Look that shit up. An honorable mention, Preacher's Wife soundtrack. If you came with a warning label, what would it say? All right, there was a warning label for me. Let's go ahead and start off with the important shit. Definitely, if a warning label was, there's a lot of trauma. Beware of trauma is what one of the labels would say. Definitely beware of trauma. Beware of somebody that's still trying to figure shit out. Beware of somebody that's still working through, like, dealing with commitment. Beware of somebody that is great at music in the mind. You know what I'm saying? I love music, like, very much so. I can get into hours and hours of conversation of music. Beware of someone who stays in the gym at a very much, I would say, not an addictive level, but obsession, if you will. Beware of somebody that is very much a go-getter. Beware of somebody that's going to lead, number 1. Beware of someone that is filled with mistakes, who carries himself as if he doesn't make mistakes at times, or tries to, at least, you know what I'm saying? That ego gets that perfectionist going, and then the life has a way of humbling you and remind you how much of a person you are. I say, beware of someone that is a warning. This person loves the NFL. Warning that this individual is stoic, you know what I'm saying? But if pressed by the right personality, a short fuse, I'd say that. And it's a familiar personality, if you will. That's what I find myself thinking about. Like, there's a familiar personality will then bring out the child, some of the challenging parts of childhood for me, and doing my best to manage those. Beware of somebody that can at times deal with imposter syndrome, where you don't believe that this is yours. You know what I'm saying? You don't believe you deserve that word. You know what I'm saying? I don't say it, but you know, your brain feels like, oh, I don't deserve this. This is not, I shouldn't have these things and whatnot. Beware of someone who is full of flaws. Hands down, bro. Like, the warning label should show full of flaws, full of water. Drink a lot of water. Full of shit. Sometimes, depending on what we're talking about. But someone that is warning label full of emotional intelligence. Warning label of somebody that misses playing basketball. Warning label of somebody that just is who loves dogs, like loves unconditional lovers. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I love about dogs, because they love unconditionally, and it's cool to see how a dog operates, especially to its surrogate, the person that they hone on to is like their mom or their dad and shit. It's a beautiful thing to see. You know what I'm saying? Beware of somebody that is just trying to figure it out, right? Just really trying to go with what's going on in front of them and taking it as is. I would say that beware of somebody who loves movies. Warning label of somebody that is very productive. You know what I'm saying? Not always available. Beware of somebody that is constantly trying to create a means of creativity, if you will. Beware of somebody that is stubborn, very stubborn to a toxic, but I mean, in some ways toxic degree, in some ways a healthy degree of being stubborn, determined, ambitious, you name it. Beware of somebody that can overthink themselves about things. Be aware of somebody who has who's doing their best to manage their ego. Be aware of somebody who is trying to create something out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Beware of somebody that's trying to be part of something greater than themselves, with this whole journey of like putting mental health in a way to people that they can absorb it much easier than what you might believe mental health is to be. By all means, this is not a licensed thing. This is just my love for it and me talking about it. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. Warning, I'm not a doctor. Warning, I'm not, anything licensed within like mental health. I'm just someone that likes to talk about it. I mean, you got people that are not in the NFL that got football talking shows. I'm somebody that is a big fan of healing for myself as well as others. Just someone that wanted to create a platform that allow a person to not feel alone in this world as much as I did, or felt like I was, you know what I'm saying? And being able to just get through it, you know what I mean? Like truly get through this thing called life with music, with healthy conversation, with just being in the moment, being in the present moment, with being learning how to be a better person every day. You know what I mean? But that is what I would say, the warning labels that I would come with. And warning, the show is over. Peace. Good night, kids.